Okay, Shalom family. Today is January the 25th, 2025. I want to welcome you back again for another episode of what calendar we're using in the Old and New Testament. Is it a lunar calendar, solar calendar, or a Roman calendar? This is part 4 of our series. This message is sponsored by the House of Sheila Ministries and it is presented by me, Yakanina. Brief review of the table of contents. In part 1, we discussed the origin of time, learning that time was created in Genesis chapter 1, when Yahuwah says that the sun, moon, and stars should be used for determining our days, our years, our months, and our seasons. We learned the definition of what a solar calendar is. Brother Gianni gave us an excellent description. It's a celestial dating system, right? We learned about the mathematical laws of Elohim. In part 2, I believe we discussed the appointed times. We looked at the book of Enoch, the book of Jubilee, the Dead Sea Scrolls, and the Holy Bible, all of them mentioning a solar calendar. Not a lunar calendar, not a Roman calendar, a solar calendar. We also discussed in part 3 correcting new moon misconceptions and the laws of the luminaries. So we still have a few more topics to go, okay? We're going to be discussing the solar calendar in the Old Testament and the New Testament. We're going to be discussing a prophecy about the changing of times and laws, let my people go, resetting the sacred calendar, and then a calendar changed again. We're going to look at the Julian calendar, Gregorian calendar, creating the holy day solar calendar, and then our last thing will be the key takeaways. Okay? All right. So let's begin with the solar calendar. The solar calendar that is found in the Old Testament Bible. I'm going to ask for a reader, a volunteer. Go ahead, please.
Rule the day and the peace. He made the stars also.
So the word appointed feast, the word appointed feast, this verse was taken out of the Sefer Bible. If you were looking at this in your KJV Bible, it will say seasons. But if you look up the word seasons, it is appointed feasts. Appointed feasts. Okay. So here's what I want you to know. This is just a recap of what we talked about in part 1, where the origin of time began. So that's why it says the origin of time, part 1 up here. It says this is the first mention of time. When you see where it says let there be lights, and then it begins to tell you the reason why there needs to be light, right? It's for signs, it's for seasons, it's for days, it's for years, it's for months. That's time for determining those days. That's time. So this is the first mention of time. The creation of time existed before the creation of mankind. Mankind wasn't created until later on, right? Yahuwah determined in the beginning that the appointed feasts or the holy days are to be determined by his celestial calendar. Does the moon determine when the day begins? No, it doesn't. Does the moon determine when the night begins? Anybody? Does the moon determine when the night begins?
No. No, it's not done.
It doesn't. You know how we know? That's true, because you can see the moon in the clear daytime. You can be outside and you can see the moon.
That's right.
And it's still
It's not
daylight.
nighttime.
And it's not nighttime.
That's
So the
right.
moon does not determine. That's a good answer. Okay. Does the sun determine when the day begins?
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. Does the sun determine when the night begins?
Yes, it does.
Is it? Comments or questions? No comments? Okay, continue, Brother Darkness. The moon has a role. The moon does have a purpose,
Go
and
ahead.
we're going to discuss that purpose. I apologize, Brother Darkness. Go ahead, please.
No, go ahead, man. No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
No, we're done. That's all I was telling him.
Oh, okay. Okay. Genesis 7 through 12. In the 600th year of Noah's life, on the 17th day of the second month, all the springs of the great deep burst forth, and the floodgates of the Shamayim were opened, and rain fell on the earth 40 days and 40 nights.
Okay, keep reading, please.
And Elohim remembered Noah and every living thing and all the cattle that was with him in the ark. And Elohim made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters assuaged. The fountains also of the deep and the windows of Shamayim were stopped. And the rain from the Shamayim was restrained, and the waters returned from off earth continually. And after the end of the 56 days, the waters were abated. Then on the 17th day, the 17th month, the ark came to rest on the mountains of Bahrain.
When you read this, or when I used to read this, I never thought about what calendar was being used when this was written. I never thought about that. But this is a way of telling you if this began on the 17th day of the second month and it ends 150 days later on the 17th day of the seventh month. If you try to do this on the Roman calendar, it will be impossible. But if you do it on a solar calendar, it's to the day. It's to the day. It's going to be too long. Yeah. Right? How do I know that this is correct, what I'm saying? Because remember, in the Enoch solar calendar from our previous lessons, there are 30 days in a month, not 28, not 31, not 29, but it's 30 days in every month. You follow me, right? 30 days in every month. So 30 days times 5 months. Okay, 30 days times 5 months. And it equals 150 days if the waters were abated. And you say, well, where did you get 5 months from? This is where I got 5 months from. It says that it began the second month. It said it ended the seventh month. How many months are in between those two? The second month, 5. That's where I got the 5 months from. So 30 days times 5 months equals 150 days. And it's exactly how long the water began to return off the earth. It says the waters returned from off the earth continually, and after the end of 150 days, the waters were abated. Any questions on that? Any questions on that? Okay. So this on the seventh month, the ark came to a rest. Okay. So demonstrating this on the Gregorian calendar computations, I'm going to show it to you on the next slide. Okay. I'm going to demonstrate to you on the calendar that if you try using a Roman calendar or the Gregorian calendar, how it won't look right. All right. I'm sorry, this is the solar calendar first. My apologies. Right at the bottom of the screen to the left. No, to the right. You'll see where it says the Enoch solar calendar. So this is the Enoch solar calendar. Okay. Notice that there are these are in rows by seasons. One moment, please. Okay, so these are in rows by season. The first season is spring, second season is summer, the third is fall, and the fourth season, last season, is winter. There are only 4 seasons in a year. There are only 4 seasons in a year. There are 3 months per season. 3 months per season. So, for example, in spring, there are 3 months. There's March, there's April, and then there's May. In the summer, there's June, July, and August. In the fall, there's September, October, and November. And of course, in December, in the winter season, you have December and January and February. Notice that in all of these months, there are only 30 days. There are only 30 days. Okay. At the end of each season is an intercalary day. You see the 31 at the bottom of the screen? Okay. At the end of the season, because now we're shifting from May to June, or should I say we're shifting from spring to May. Your other intercalary day is at the end of August because you're shifting from summer to fall. Your other intercalary day is at the end of October because you're shifting from the fall into the winter. And your last intercalary day is the end of February. Notice February has 30 days on the solar calendar. And the intercalary day on February is because you're shifting from winter and you're going back into spring. Any questions on this? Okay. Oh, so let me go back again. So,
I have a question.
yes,
I have a question.
yes.
And will sound redundant when I ever, but we work on no questions. The question is, what is actually an intercalary day?
An intercalary day is a day on the calendar that indicates you are about to move from one season to a new season, which is why you find them in red at the bottom of the calendar. This is a day, when this day arrives, it's a sign indicating that you are moving from one season to the next season. You're moving from spring to summer. This one, you're moving from summer going into fall. This one, you're moving from fall going into winter. And when you get to this one right here, it means you're leaving winter and going back into spring again.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So does anyone remember? You're welcome. And thank you for asking. Um, anyone remember what day it was that it began to rain? Anybody remember?
The 17th.
The 17th of
17th day of the second month.
the 17th day of the second month on your solar calendar. Can you find the 17th day of the second month on the solar calendar? What day is it? Do you see it?
It's a Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's a Wednesday. And it ended, he says the ark rested on the seventh month, on the 17th day, right? Notice where the seventh month is located.
September.
September. Sep- you count March. You count. Mhm. Because it's from 17 to the 17th. From the 17th of March to April to May to June, July to August. Are you getting October? Do I have it wrong?
Unless you actually catch it on the 17th of March. If you do this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, in October. But if you actually catch March.
Oh, one moment. Okay. Any other questions on that? So if you count 150 days, you'll end up in July, but 150 days from February the 17th to July 17th, that's like 151 days. Oops, it's 151 days or 152 days. One of the 151, I think. But it's not an exact 150. But when you use solar calendar, it's an exact 150 days. I found that to be so surprising,
It's
but
significant.
awesome and significant.
Because if you want a bus stop, a bus there at 12:51, you get there at 12:55, even 12:53, you don't miss the bus. Even at 12:52 at this point.
True.
And
So
you stand there with your suitcase, it may be sometimes the bus is once a day for certain stops. That means that's it.
yes, so if you're counting again from the Roman calendar from February and you count 7 months from February the 17th and you count 7 months, you're going to get more than 150 days. But the scriptures in Genesis 8:3 tells you it's 150 days. The only way you can come up with an exact 150 days is when you use the solar calendar. Any questions?
That's right.
Yes, Brother Isaac.
It is true that
Yes, Brother Isaac, it is true. Let me go back on the solar calendar. Okay. You see where the intercalary days are located? Remember in the book of Enoch, it says the intercalary days are not used in the counting. So really there are 360 days on the calendar plus 4 intercalary days, and then it gives you a total of 364. You're welcome. Any other questions? So this is one place where we know the solar calendar was used in the scriptures in the Old Testament. It doesn't say solar calendar, but it proves that it's a solar calendar. Okay.
About the dates.
By the way, exactly. All right. Let's go on to the next slide. Oops. I did say if you count from February the 17th to July the 17th, you get more than 150 days.
Right.
So that proves that you cannot use the Roman calendar. You have to use the solar calendar. Okay. Brother Gian, go ahead.
So my, I mean, no,
hmm
it just it shows you the foresight of the Most High. He's done nothing for naught. He even knew that how he destroyed man and reset man, that it was going to be a counting point, a reference point for us in near the end or in our time.
hmm
I mean, just think about it. We can count these days, and like you just said, and know that what they made us is wrong. This is
hmm
awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt you, Minister. I'm just blown away right now.
He even said, okay, I'm going to flood the earth, but let me tell you how long I'm going to do it for. I'm going to do it for this many days. Well, how will we know how many days that was unless there was a counting system? There had to have been a counting system in
Man,
place. The Roman calendar didn't exist during that time, so what calendar did they use?
it's true. You even told us why he flooded the earth, too.
Hmm?
You even told us why he flooded the earth.
Yes, sir. Okay. Any other question pertaining to that? No? Okay, Brother Gianni, are you available to read? Thank you.
And one said to the man which was upon the waters of the river, how long shall it be to the end of these wonders? And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters, held his right hand to heaven, over 7 oaths by him that lives forever, and it shall be for a time, time and a half. Amen. he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people. All these things shall be finished.
Mm-hmm. Times and a half. Now that was the KJV version. So, Brother Gianni, read the NIRV version, please.
The man who was dressed in linen was above the waters of the river. One of the angels said to him, how long will it be before these amazing things come true? The man raised both hands toward heaven, heard him take an oath in the name of the one who lives forever. 3.5 years. Then the power of the holy people will be broken at last, and all of those things will come true.
So the Holy One, the angel of Yahuwah, is saying to the prophet Daniel, in 3.5 years, this is going to be accomplished. Did you read anywhere where Daniel says, what's 3.5 years? Did you read anywhere where he says, what calendar should I use to determine the time? Or how long 3.5 years is? Have you read that? So how did Daniel know how to calculate the passing of time? See, we don't ask ourselves that question. What calendar did he use? Right? I want to show you that it wasn't the Gregorian calendar. Let me show you. A Gregorian calendar has 365 days, right? You see that right there on the screen? When you multiply that times 3.5 years, how many days do you get? 1277.5. 1277.5. But when you use the solar calendar, remember, solar calendar has 30 days times 12 months. It is 3.5 years. 3.5 is 3.5 years.
Oh, no, I'm saying on the good calendar because it says it's 1277.5.
Actually, the calendar is 360 for the solar count. No, sorry. For the Gregorian calendar, it is 365 point something, something, something. It is.
It is.
Oh.
And sometimes if there's a leap year or something, or sometimes it's 366. I forget what reason it makes it 366. So I won't swear to saying I know exactly why, but I know it's 365.25, I believe, or sometimes 366. But you come up with 1,277 days. When you multiply 30 days times 12 months, there you go, Brother Isaac. Notice that the 4 intercalary days are not in the counting. It's 360 days in a year times 3.5 years. You get 1,260 days. Do you see that? This is important that you see the difference. Okay. This is important that you see the difference between the solar calendar here and the Gregorian calendar, because you're going to see that 1,260 days again in the Bible, confirming that it is the solar calendar that was used by the angel of the Most High when he was giving the message to Daniel. So you see the difference. The Gregorian calendar is 1,277.5 days, but the solar calendar is 1,260. Any questions on this before we move?
My question doesn't have anything to do with the calendar. Huh?
We can't hear you, sweetheart.
It has nothing to do with the calendar, so she probably should wait.
Oh, well, what's your question then? Let's see if it's something we can address quickly.
It's saying like, is that it? Daniel is the man who was dressed in linen above the waters of the river.
No, there was the angel. There was a man that came to him clothed in linen. This is an angel that came to him.
Oh, okay, I was confused. I was like, how was a man sitting above the waters of the river? And then I was thinking maybe it was Yahweh.
No, he says, I heard the man clothed in linen. And if you look at the NIRV version, it's in the first line. It's the second sentence on the first line. One of the angels said to him. So you know it's an angel that's talking. Do you see it?
Yeah, I was going based on the
It's right
beginning
there.
of it.
Oh, okay. Okay, it's right there. All right. Any other questions? No? Okay. So remember, the 1,260 days, we're going to see this again. Okay. Sister Anaya, are you available to read?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
When he viewed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honors of his excellent majesty many days, even in 180 days. And when these days were expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in the Susan,
Mm-hmm.
the palace, both unto great and small, 7 days in the court of the garden of the king's palace. Where were white, green, where were white, green, and blue hangings fastened with cords of fine linen and purple to silver rings and pillars of marble. The beds were of gold and silver upon a pavement of red and blue and white and black marble. And they gave them drink in vessels of gold, the vessels being diverse one from another, and royal wine in abundance, according to the state of the king.
Oh, sorry. You got a little bit too fast. Okay. Continue reading, please. Sister Anaya.
And the drinking was according to the law. None did compel. For so the king had appointed to all the officers of his house, that they should do according to every man's pleasure. Also, Vashti,
Vashti.
the queen, made a feast for the women in the royal house, which belonged to King Ahasuerus.
That's close, Ahasuerus. Yes, thank you. So how long did they say that this drinking was going to take place? Anybody remember?
180.
How many?
7 days.
180. 180.
180, 180 days.
I was in the last.
That was in the last verse. Let's go back and look at it. It's right here where it says 100. It's highlighted, 104 score days. You see that? We know what 100 is. That's easy. It's the four score that some people get confused with. So remember, yes, the one score is 20, and there are four of them there. So it's 20, 40, 60, 80.
Was it 180 days?
So it's 180 days, like they said, right? Okay. Did you want to take a picture of that? I'm so sorry. Let me go back.
You say one score is what? 20 what?
One score equals 20, and you have four of them right there. So 20 times 4 is 80.
For one score, 20 years, right?
Yes, so you have 180 days.
Okay, gotcha.
That's a long time to show your kingdom. He must have been rich.
They were drinking for 180 days, feasting and drinking, banqueting, right? All right. So let's do some mathematical calculations now. So on a solar calendar, 104 square days are 6 months, right? Is equal 180 days. You know why? Because 30 days times 6 months is 180 days.
Correct.
That's on a solar calendar.
Right.
Y'all with me?
Yep.
But on the Gregorian calendar,
It's 184 days.
it's 184 days.
They picked up the transition days.
There are no transition days on the
Oh, that's
Gregorian
true.
calendar.
That's true, but they pick up their 31st and 29th and
They
30th.
sure do. They do.
There's no consistency.
There is no consistency with the hold on, brother Darkus. There's no consistency with the Gregorian calendar because the months each month vary,
Yep.
right? Whereas in the solar calendar,
So what happens
every month
that is easy.
every month is 30 days
Yes.
per month for all 12 months.
It's balanced.
It's balanced. Yeah. Okay, brother Darkus, yes, go ahead, please.
I'm so sorry. Let me interrupt you, mister. So a score is what? Days or years?
A score is 20, whether it's days or years that comes after that word is determined, by the language. But a score is
Oh,
20.
so it could be either one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay, man.
Mhm.
Gotcha. Okay, because the year's one. Then. Oh, okay. I was making sure. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, you're welcome. So you see the difference between the Gregorian calendar and the solar calendar. So we're looking at the information again in the book of Esther, and it's letting you know that the calendar that Esther was using, that King Ahasuerus was using, for him to say and make a proclamation, this feast is going to go on for 180 days. How did they count the days? What calendar did they use to count the days? You don't read anywhere where the king says, where the people said to the king, how long is 180 days? You don't read that. So this means this is understood because it's not mentioned anywhere in the scripture. And I'm trying to show you as Yahuwah is putting days in the verses, when you begin to compute those days, you can see that a solar calendar is being used and not a Roman calendar. Any questions on this one or comments? Can I move to the next slide? Okay. So I want to show you something. It says here that they drank for about 6 months, 180 days, right? Now, this is my speculations, and I'm putting it out there as my own speculation. I believe it was during the time of the Feast of Booths. Some people call it the Feast of Tabernacles. Some people call it the Feast of Sukkot, whichever name you refer to, that's okay. So I believe it was during this time. Let me show you why. Let me pull it up on the screen. Okay, the Feast of Booths. Around the Feast of Booths, that's the harvest time. That is when men, women, and children, they take to the vineyard from late August to September to bring in the grapes. And the grapes were put into the wine press where men and the boys trampled them, often to music. So the Feast of Booths was a prescribed holiday that immediately followed the harvest and the pressing of the grapes. So if King Ahasuerus is going to have some wine going on for 6 months, he must have just emptied his vineyard. That's my speculation, right?
Yeah.
So what you're looking at is an ancient wine press. This is an ancient wine press. And this area right here is where they would throw in the grapes. And they would use their feet to step on the grapes. The men and the boys would use their feet to step on the grapes. And then of course it would run down into the collection that's called a vat, this deep hole. You can even notice that the stone is discolored here. It's almost a dark reddish color, a dark color. Okay. So the wine would run down into the vat, and that's where the wine was collected from that area. So I'm believing that it was around the Feast of Booths when Esther and King Ahasuerus were giving their feast. Okay. Any questions? Okay. And if there's anything being asked in the chat section that I need to know about, somebody please make me aware of it. I appreciate it.
Sister
Okay.
Monique made a little joke.
Oh no, I'm
She
just
asked what
saying.
noise did the make.
Oh, okay,
A little whine.
okay. So what we're looking at is a calendar, a Gregorian calendar, right? I'm trying to show you how 180 days will be calculated this is just an example, an illustration of how the 6 months will be calculated. So if you count from like July the 1st through December the 31st, that's 184 days. It's 6 months, but it's 184 days. Okay, so if someone wants to take the time and screenshot that and actually count each one of those days because I did. It's 184 days. It's 184 days, 6 months. Okay. So from July 1st to the 31st, to the 31st of August, to the 30th of September, to the 31st. You can probably do it with your calculator. To the 30th and to the 31st of December. I think if you take the 31st, the 31st, the 30th, the 31st, the 30th, and the 30th, tell me what that equals. Is that 184? July 31st.
Mhm.
All the numbers that are highlighted in red. Add all those up. Yeah, y'all don't see red on your screen?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
Okay.
Okay.
Going from July 1st. August, September, October, November, December.
We're going 6 months.
What did we treat? January 1st? July 1st?
From July the 1st to July 31st is 1 month. So start counting from the 31st, and just count the red ones.
Oh, let's count the red.
Yeah, add up the red ones for me.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Leave the green one out.
Yeah, leave the green one out, just the red one.
So 6 times.
So 31 plus 31 plus
Okay,
30 plus
gotcha.
30. Yeah, there you go. Add those up, and tell me how many days you come up with.
183, I believe.
Oh,
Because you got 3, how many 30s do you have? Oh, no. You have 130. 230 is 100.
you all not using the calculator?
I'm back to
All right.
184.
Thank you very much, Brother Isaac.
2. Okay.
Okay.
Uh,
But the scripture says it was 180 days. So what I'm trying to show you is it could not be the Roman calendar they were using during this time. They're 4 days off. It had to be a solar calendar. Okay. So let me show you the solar calendar.
Well, they have tried to mix their culture in with the Jewish word, and it's just messed up.
Yes.
It doesn't align up. It messes up.
So if you use the solar calendar, remember the solar calendar has 30 days.
Right.
So that's how come only the 30th of the day of each month is highlighted.
Now you can get 180.
Now you're going to get 180 days, which is what the scripture says. The scripture says that the drinking continued for 180 days or 6 months.
What's happening with the calendar days is really a sin
It is a sin to mess with the days,
because you mess with the feast days.
which is why we're going to talk about Daniel's prophecy of changing times and laws.
When they change the law, they change the time, they change the laws because time is a law.
It is. And if it's not a law, if the sun were to ever start setting in the west and rising and, and rising,
Say the West, Minister.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You're right. Start rising in the west and setting in the east. Oh, by the way, I'm so glad so glad you brought that up. Did you know that the planetary alignment that's coming today, and also again the end of next month on February the 28th? Did you know that? Remember, they said that alignment is so rare. It'll only happen once
Right.
in anybody's lifetime, really, because it happens um, a million years apart or something like that.
Mhm.
Did you know that when I was researching that, it said that during the time of the deluge, which is the flood, that the sun rose in the west.
Now that's messed up. The deluge means what?
The flood. Deluge is flood.
What's it about?
During the time of the
I got
deluge,
it. I know what you're saying.
the sun rose in the west and it set in the east, which is how the flood happened
Because the tides of the ocean changed.
because the law had been broken.
That's right. And so the tides of the ocean switched, and instead of it going the tides going one way, it came on land. So what he did was switch the laws of the water.
He switched the laws of the celestials,
And
and it affects the earth. So these calendars that are being determined by the celestial are set by a fixed time, an appointed time. The times, these laws are static. They are not dynamic.
No.
They're fixed. So it's important that we use Yahuwah's calendar for determining his set apart or appointed feasts, because he made sure that he wrote it in Genesis and says that the sun, moon, and the stars will be for appointed feasts, appointed seasons, appointed days, years, and months. So he knew in Genesis chapter 1 that he was going to give these holy days to his people in Exodus, in the book of Exodus. He knew.
They know it. So that's why they tampered with it.
They know it now, yeah. But they didn't know it in Genesis chapter 1.
No, they didn't.
Right. but they know it now. They know it now. So they're messing with it. I'm going to show you, it probably won't be today, that they did know it, which is why they made the Gregorian calendar look the way it looks today. Because they knew.
The Romans had observed what the Hebrews were doing for hundreds and thousands of years.
Hundreds, and yes, thousands, yeah.
Might as well say thousands.
Definitely thousands, because the Romans were on the scene when Yahushua was being crucified.
And they knew what we did. They knew what days we did it on. They knew what calendar we from. They knew. So to what you call it, to conflict,
to bring confusion. Yeah.
Running Sunday.
It's only one day. It's only one day.
Only one day.
You see, it makes a difference.
It makes a difference.
The fact that this calendar off, the Gregorian calendar is off by 4 days is a big difference. It's a big.
On the bus stop with your suitcase, and the bus is already.
It left 4 days ago.
4 days ago. You gotta sit on that bus stop for 4 days, all the streets.
And if that bus only comes once a year, and it left 4 days ago, you're gonna be there till the next year.
That's right. So this is important.
It's very important.
That y'all works in seasons, in days and events. So you heard that song, "Go Miss the Train, Children." So when you miss the first train, you don't know when the second train is coming. Well, you know where it's coming back, but it's gonna be a while.
We've been taught that Yahuwah can do anything at any time, but Yahuwah is teaching us that he does have appointed times for what he wants to do.
Okay, if that's the case, how come we don't plant and sow in the same season? We don't. There's a time for planting your
You mean in harvest, yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
And there's a time for harvesting your crops. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's the same thing in our lives.
Yes.
There's a time for us to sow, and there's a time for us to harvest what we sow.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't work out a season.
Correct.
That's why some of us are still waiting for some of our seeds to come back around that we sow.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, when's this going to happen? When's this going to happen? I haven't seen it yet. It's not time yet.
Mm-hmm.
Your season hasn't come yet. But oh, it will. Oh, it will. But he does work by times and seasons. Even our food works that way. The animals work that way. Right now, the bears they're sleeping. Well, it's their season of rest. The whole land works on the Sabbath. The animals have a Sabbath. They Sabbath themselves in the winter.
Even the mosquitoes go in higher in the winter time.
The ants,
At least they do.
everything. They went to the sleep.
Stop looking on Saturdays. I found that out last week.
The beavers don't work on Saturdays?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they don't. I didn't know that.
How can the animal know that animals sleep on Saturday? How do the animals know that they still can't get it?
I don't know.
They didn't read it to the beaver did not read the Ten Commandments. He didn't read it. He didn't read the Ten Commandments.
The beaver didn't read the Ten Commandments. But he stops building that dam on the 7th day, don't he? Isn't that what it's called? It's called.
Oh no, she's talking about the
he constructs. It's called a dam. Yeah. Okay.
No blockage on the 7th day.
Right.
Right. No blockage.
Yep. He's not building that.
He's not building that.
So we have another scripture to support our premise that the solar calendar is what was being used in the Old Testament. This is Isaiah, the book of Isaiah. This is about Isaiah and the sundial. Many of us know this story. Many of us know this story, but there's a piece in it we haven't given much thought to. Okay, so Sister Lily, would you read this for me?
Yes, ma'am. Then came the word of Yahuwah to Isaiah, saying, Go and say to Hezekiah, Thus says Yahuwah, the Elohim of David, thy father, I have heard thy prayer, I have seen thy tears. Behold, I will add unto thy days 15 years, and I will deliver thee and this city out of the hand of the king of Assyria, and I will defend this city.
Okay, keep reading, please.
And this shall be a sign unto thee from Yahuwah, that Yahuwah will do this thing that he hath spoken. Behold, I will bring again the shadow of the degrees, which is gone down in the sundial of Ahaz, 10 degrees backward. So the sun returned 10 degrees, by which degrees it was gone down.
See, we never put the two and two together.
That's right.
We always talk about how the sundial went back 10 degrees. Do we not realize that's a solar calendar?
Do you not realize the planets had to turn back 10 degrees?
This does affect the
The
planets.
whole solar system said, oh, we have to
The-
shift
the-
for one man. What's his name?
King Hezekiah,
He has a kind of
Mhm.
again for
Joshua.
So it goes up, click, click, click. That's abnormal. That doesn't happen very often.
True.
This sometimes happens for 10 degrees. I've never
True.
heard that before.
I've never read it for anyone else since then.
Elijah, that's different though. Making rain stop doesn't turn the clock of the universe.
We got rainmakers right here on the earth today.
Stop.
We got some rainmakers right here, but causing the celestial planets
To move is a big
to
deal.
move contrary to the law that Yahuwah has set in place is a big deal.
It means it started with the sun. The sun had to shift and for everything else to shift.
And remember, the planets are so many spaces apart, and it's a law. It's a law that says that the sun is so far from the earth that the sun has a certain distance from the moon. These are static laws.
So the whole gravitational pull of the planet stopped for 1 minute. The whole gravitational pull of the universe stopped for 1 minute.
I don't know if it stopped, but I know that there was a change.
It had to stop and then shift. It had just
There were adjustments made, yes.
It couldn't shift all of a sudden, it would die. The body had to adjust to that shifting. Because we already would have felt that. Because it's a gravitational pull.
I
So
don't
at some
know.
point, he had to smoothly adjust. And nobody ever felt it.
No, it says in verse 8, so the sun returned 10 degrees, by which degrees it was gone down. You will never ever see the sun moonwalking.
I was 1 degree.
It was 1 degree. You'll never see it. But it happened here. So that's what it means. I mean, going backwards. You know how Michael Jackson moonwalks? It means he's walking backwards.
Oh no, I was trying to
It's like the whole planet. They had to go. They had to stop. Or they had to just reverse itself. This is amazing.
This is amazing, isn't it?
It is.
So let me show you. Let me talk to you about this note. So Hezekiah, he used the sundial, which is the movement of the sun, to track the time of each day. If he didn't use the sun to track the time of each day, then it would have meant nothing to him when the prophet Isaiah told him, I'm gonna make the sundial go back 10 degrees. And King Hezekiah would say, well, and what does that mean? You don't see that discussion taking place. So he understood
What was happening?
the gravity of what was
That's what I'm
happening.
saying. I never even understood it to the point of what you're teaching me right now. That it affected it affected even to the smallest microbiotic bacteria was affected by this pull.
Yes, because on the second note, it says the sundial, it went back 10 degrees, which is a total of 40 minutes. And we're going to show you the calculations of how I got that on the next slide.
Because the planets are still moving the other direction. Then the whole earth would
It
be
could-
doing, it would have
or it
been
could have been a
catastrophe.
collision
Yes.
if they're close enough.
So everything, oh my gosh, this is, I don't know how he did it. This is miraculous.
It is miraculous. So this is why when
For
the
one
prophet
man.
Isaiah said this to King Hezekiah, he did not doubt him. He said, if you can make the sun do that, yeah, I believe you. I believe that what you're saying is true. If that happens, I believe you. Right? Everybody still with me?
Yes.
So let's look at the computations. These are the computations on the next slide. All right. So this is an example of a sundial. Okay. And the hourly marks on the sundial, each hourly mark is 15 degrees. Each hourly mark is 15 degrees. For example, you see number 4 and you see number 5. Between 4 and 5 is 15 degrees. I'm not saying minutes, I said degrees. Because between 4 and 5 is 1 hour, but it's considered 15 degrees. Okay? So that means one 24-hour rotation, one 24-hour rotation equals 360 degrees. How did I get that? Anybody want to tell me? Yeah,
You said on here, each mark is going to separate at 15 degrees. So
correct.
you have that 15 degrees and go around and do 3 times. That would be a total of 24 hours in one particular thing.
So it's a total of 24 times 15.
Yeah.
You are correct. So if you multiply 24 hours in a day, and remember every hour is 15 degrees, so you multiply it times 15. 24 times 15 is 360 degrees. That means it has come full circle. Yes, it's the same thing. You're right. So remember, he said, I'm going to make the time go back. How many degrees did he say?
10 degrees.
10 degrees. So let's figure out what 10 degrees equals in minutes. So we have an hour on the sundial is represented by 15 degrees, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there are 60 minutes within an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Right.
Or there are 15 degrees within one rotation. Right? The math is going to be right on the screen for you.
Oh.
There it is right there.
Okay.
So 15 degrees times 24 hours is 360. The clock goes backwards by 10 degrees. So 10 divided by 15 is 0.67. That means it went back 67% of the hour.
Mm-hmm.
And 67% of the hour is 40 minutes.
2/3 of an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Correct. 0.666666 rounded. Exactly. Thank you, Brother Andrew.
You said 0.66?
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute.
It's 0.67 on the screen, but 2/3 would be like 0.666.
But didn't you say he was coming for? Is it a ton? I thought it was coming.
I don't know.
Something. There's something wrong with this.
Hmm.
0.67.
Ask me, I don't know. Ask me afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with that.
Okay. Any questions on this? Anybody? Questions or comments? No? Okay.
Well,
Yes.
I just for clarification. I remember you saying when we were going over the gates that you were asking about where the thing, according to Enoch, and you were putting 16 hours and things. I was trying to do the math before and I was thinking my God.
I'm listening.
Man,
No, because you only have a fraction of the hour. 0.67 is only a fraction of it, which 0.67 represents 40 minutes.
of course.
Yeah, 0.67.
Sundial.
Yeah, because remember on the sundial, 1 hour is 15 degrees.
Yeah.
1 hour is 15 degrees. So, and plus, there are on when you're computing the day and light that Enoch has given you in chapter 72, I think it was a total of 18 hours. And I was trying to show you that even though it shows 18 hours, you still have 1,440 minutes in a day. It's just that his calendar, Enoch's calendar, it's 80 minutes per hour. And 80 minutes times 18 hours is 1,440. But if you use the Roman calendar, you have 24 hours in a day and 60 minutes per hour. When you multiply 24 times 60, it's still 1,440 minutes in a day.
Right. I just was so you.
Okay. You have questions?
I was just going back to Brother Andrew, the 2/3.
Yes.
It says the earth is covered by 2/3 of water.
Oh, that's what you're referring
That's not
to.
what I'm referring to.
Oh, it's not.
That's just to make a point.
What scripture is that, please?
That's not a scripture. That's a point. That's just a fact, a scientific fact. But there
Oh,
is a scripture,
okay.
Zechariah 13:8, in the King James Bible says, "And it shall come to pass that in the land."
Can you speak up a little louder, please?
Yes. King James Bible, Zechariah 13, verse 8 says, "And it shall come to pass that in
Yes.
all the land, saith Yahuwah, two parts therein shall be cut off and die, but
Mm-hmm.
the third shall be left therein."
So that 2 parts is 2/3
That's correct.
because 2/3 plus 1/3 is 3/3.
Correct, which makes it the 2/3, which is 0.67 of the rotation degrees in the book of in the story of Hezekiah.
Okay, that was Zechariah chapter what now?
13, verse 8.
13 verse 8.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any further questions? So this is just more proof that the solar calendar was being used in the Old Testament. Even though it's not called a solar calendar, it was understood, so it wasn't necessary to call it that. There was no other calendar available at the time that our people. Remember, this is our people. King Hezekiah, the prophet Isaiah, these are Hebrews. This is what we used. Okay. Any more questions on this?
Well, to ask yourself, why did he choose 40? Which is
Well, bear in mind, the 40 minutes was my calculation. He chose 10.
right,
He chose 10 degrees.
10 degrees.
Yes, and then it computes out to 40 minutes.
To us.
Yeah.
Which still is a message to us because 40 is rebirth,
Mm-hmm.
newborn, and then the 4 is the dialect, which is the Shabbat. And then the Yud is the smallest of the letters indicating the DNA of Yahuwah.
The Yud is the number 10 on the Paleo Hebrew
Correct.
alphabets or alphabets.
And the 4 is the fourth alphabet in the Hebrew alphabet. It's 3, 4. It's everything about it is a 4, which is the dialect that represents the rich man coming out to get the poor man, which represents the Shabbat.
So the 4 is door.
Exactly.
Okay.
So who's opening up the door for the DNA of Yahuwah, those that are marked with the Torah.
Okay, one moment, please. Okay, that looks better. All right. So what I want to show you is, did you know that America, America keeps track of sundials as if it knows something that we don't know? What you're looking at right now is a top view of a sundial. The hour lines are spaced equally about the circle as the shadow casting gnome. The shadow casting gnome is the thing that's moving, that black line that's moving around. It's the thin cylindrical rod. It moves clockwise from 3 o'clock a.m. to 9 o'clock p.m. Okay, so you're looking at a sundial. What I want to show you is that America keeps track of time by a sundial still, right today, as if they know an EMP is coming, right? And it's in different parts of it's different parts of the country. I shouldn't have said that. Anyway, uh, let me
There's
tell
a
you.
reason for that.
Yeah, there's a reason. There's a reason that there is a sundial registry for North America. There is a sundial registry for North America. So let me take you to that registry. Let me pull that up. Okay, one moment. All right, what we're looking at is the North American Sundial Society. Okay, we're looking at sundials of North America. I want to show you that there are sundials in different states, not just one state. Let's see. Let's see. It's right here to the right. It says um, select sundial by state or province. Let me scroll down. Okay, so you can see all of the states to the right. You see them starting with um, Alabama. You see it?
Mhm.
You see Alabama, Alaska,
Yes.
Arizona. So you can select those states that are off to the right. It would take you to the sundial that's being used by that state.
Wow.
Let me pick one. We'll pick the first one, Alabama. We'll pick the first one, Alabama. Okay. Give me a moment, please. So you can see to the left where it says Alabama. We're going to read the first paragraph. See the first paragraph? This dial is one of Bill Gottesman's uniquely designed Renaissance dials of cast and structural bronze with a 27-inch diameter time-telling helix, whose axis is aligned to the celestial North Pole. Notice it's drawing its time ability from the celestial. Remember the sun, moon, and the stars, right? Are the timekeeping pieces of Yahuwah. Time is told by a focused beam of light from a long cylindrical unsilvered mirror statued on that north and south axis, reflecting sunlight into a slit of light onto the helix, telling time throughout the day. A sliding time scale within the helix is adjusted for longitude, dates, equation of time, correction, and daylight savings time. Once this scale is adjusted for date, the dial shows civil local clock time with an accuracy of under 1 minute. The dial base is cast bronze that allows adjustment for latitude and is placed on a sandstone plinth. So I just want you to see that these clocks are extremely accurate. Using Yahuwah's calendar is accurate to under a minute. And it doesn't need any electricity. It doesn't need any batteries. It doesn't need man to rewind the dial once a month.
It doesn't have
It needs no
it
adjustments.
doesn't have daylight savings time.
No.
Do we
This,
have pocket sundial?
it's, it's built, they do have pocket-sized
Yeah.
sundials. Yes, they do. I have one.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. So I just want you to see that the idea of a sundial is not a new concept. It's not a new concept. Now, you can't say this is what do you call that? New Age.
Right.
They can't say this is New Age. This is not New Age. This is the ancient stuff. This is old age. This is not new age. This is stuff from modern time. Okay? Any questions on this? And take note of the address in case you want to play around with it. You can write the address down or take a screenshot of it. That way, if you want to go back and look at the sundial, how it's operated in your state that you're located in, you can feel free to do so. Okay? So we didn't need, they didn't need to, Rome didn't need to come up with this calendar, but they knew that they wanted to throw the Hebrews off their game. You'll see as we move forward. They could have easily stayed with this calendar. It's very accurate, but there is a certain way that it has to be computed. Because remember, back in part one, Egypt has 13 months every so many years because every calendar shifts, and there has to be built-in ways of keeping that calendar in alignment with the seasons. Yahuwah has that built into his. Rome wants to do it a different way. Rome is doing it a different way. Okay. So now we've looked at the Old Testament. We've looked at the Old Testament. Does the New Testament speak of a solar calendar? Does the New Testament speak of a solar calendar? And it does. Do you remember I asked you to keep in mind those 1,260 days? I said, hold on to those days because you're going to see them again. You are going to see them again. You're getting ready to see them right now, as a matter of fact. Okay. So I need someone to read this. Please, Brother Isaac, would you read this for me?
Yes. 11, 2, and 3. Fourth, which is about the temple, leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the holy city from tread under a foot 42 months. And will give Lazarus unto the two witnesses, and 203 clothing.
Okay. Excellent. I want you to read the next one for me, please, which is the amplified, excuse me, the amplified version, the same scripture.
Okay. To leave out of your measuring, court outside the sanctuary, YAHUAH. Omit that, for it is given over to the Gentiles, to the nations. And they will trample the holy city underfoot 42 months. Now grant my two witnesses 1,260 days.
How many days?
1,260.
So 1,260. Remember, we were looking at a scripture in the Old Testament that talked about 1,260 days. Let's go back and look at that scripture again. Let's go back and look at that scripture again. Remember when the angel was speaking with Daniel, and Daniel asked him, how long will this be? And he told him 3.5 years. 3.5 years is 1,260 days. So I'm trying to show you that the 1,260 days is 3.5 years. And 3.5 years under the Gregorian calendar is 1,277 days. But on the solar calendar, it's 1,260 days. So even in the book of Revelation, okay, even in the book of Revelation, it is still 1,260 days. They are talking about the solar calendar. So it says that my two witnesses are going to prophesy for 1,260 days dressed in sackcloth. Do you remember that? These are the same computations we did in the Old Testament. Now we're doing it in the New Testament. 365 days times 3.5 years, 1,277 days under the Gregorian calendar. Under the solar calendar, is an exact 1,260 days. And this is the New Testament. So the example that's in the book of Revelation is also talking about the solar calendar, because there's no way you can get 1,260 days or 42 months on the Roman calendar. You get more than one. You get more than that. You get 1,277.5 days. Can you see it?
12, 6, Hebrew, 20.
I'm sorry.
1,260, 42.
30 days for every month. Not 28 days, not 31 days, which is the way you would see it in the Roman calendar. But in the solar calendar, it is exactly 30 days per month, which is what is written in the book of Enoch in chapter 72 going forward. Anybody have any questions on this? Comments? Okay. All right. Mr. Ronnie, can you read this one for me, please?
Revelation 12:5. And she brought forth a male child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up unto Elohim, into his throne. 12:6. The woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place, prepared of Elohim. And they should feed her there 1,203 square days.
Okay. So how many days is 1,203 score? We did this little math problem before. We have the 1,000, then we have plus 200, and we have plus 60 because 60 is 3 score. Because
Right.
remember, every score is 20, and there are 3 of those, 20, 40, 60.
Right.
So how long are they going to feed the woman in the wilderness? 1,260 days. The same solar calendar is being referred to. Everybody see it? It's 3.5 years. If it were the Roman calendar, it would end up being 1,277 days when you add it all up. That's too many. So during this time, during the New Testament, they were not using the Roman calendar. When I say they, I'm speaking of our Hebrew brothers and sisters. I'm not talking about Rome, because these scriptures were not written by them. This is a book written by the Hebrews for the Hebrew people, for Yasharel. So it was a solar calendar our people were using. Okay. Any questions on this or comments? Okay. So if you look at Yahuwah's solar calendar, 360 days times 3.5 years is 1,260 days. So the Roman calendar is 1,277, and the solar calendar is precisely 1,260, or 42 months, or 3.5 years. Okay. Okay. Any questions on this or comments? No? Okay. Brother Andrew. Can you read this one? No words. Go ahead, please.
You can hear this.
Hmm.
And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power. What is it?
Was
I
given.
can't see. And power was given unto him to continue 42 months.
Excellent. Thank you. Sorry about that, Brother Andrew. So 42 months equals 3.5 years.
Yes.
And again, if you do 30 days times 42 months, we're back at that 1,260 days again. Notice it's 30 days times 42 months, implying that there's 30 days per month. So this has to be a solar calendar that's being used. Okay? This is a solar calendar that's being used, not a Roman calendar. By now, I think we should be answering the question, which calendar should we be using to determine our holidays? A Roman calendar, a lunar calendar, or a solar calendar?
So
Was it Roman? Was there
A Roman calendar, a lunar calendar, which is moon,
celestial? Yeah.
or solar, which is the sun.
Celestial, yeah.
Mhm. Okay. All right. So we got 30 days times 42 months equals 1,260 days. Okay. I'm just showing you here on the Gregorian calendar, the Roman calendar, starting from January at the top all the way through December. If you look to the right, it shows you how the days alternate. And then you can see how I come up with 365 days in a year. Oh, and it is a leap year. Whenever there's a leap year and there's 29 days in February, then you get 366. Remember I was saying earlier I wasn't sure? So I have it right here. When there's a leap year, it's 366 days in the year. When it's not a leap year on the Roman calendar, it's 365. So you see how the days of the month, the length of the days in each month alternates, unlike the solar calendar where it's 30 days every month. It's not like that with the Roman calendar. You all see that? Okay. Any questions on this or comments? Okay. This is the solar calendar. Notice that it's 30 days every month. So that means it's 360 days in a year, plus the 4 intercalary days, which makes it 364. Okay.
You know what's frustrating?
Mm-hmm. Hey, Brother Andrew.
You can show this, and they say, "Oh, that really don't matter. It's just a day or two," because that's how Christians are taught. These things don't really matter. You know, as long as I have Jesus, all that other stuff don't matter. I, I, I get very upset when I see these things because you can show these things to the church and they'll have every excuse to stay the way they are.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
It just demonstrates the lies. This proves you're proving that a people wrote this book, a culture,
Mm-hmm.
a nationality wrote this book.
Mm-hmm.
This proves that a foreigner cannot handle something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Rome thought they could, and for centuries they've ignored this.
Mm-hmm.
Thousands of years.
They're still ignoring it today
Yeah.
and hoping that we continue to ignore it. But we proved in part 1 and part 2 that celebrating Yahuwah's days, holy days, annual days, feast days, weekly Sabbaths on the day that he designated is important to him. So even if it's off by 2 days, it makes a difference. And let's bring a common example. If you come to work, right? If you come to work 2 days late,
Ooh.
let's say you're supposed let's say you're supposed to work Monday through Friday, but you start your work on Sunday, right? Or Saturday night. You come in on Saturday and you work Saturday and you work Sunday and then you take off on Wednesday because you got Thursday and Friday off. You're fired because you're 2 days. You missed 2 days a week. And in that month you've missed 8 days. And you didn't even bother to call in because you think you're on the right day, so your employer has fired you. And now you're asking him what happened. You know, why are you no longer gainfully employed? And he was telling you that you have been late twice a week for the past 4 weeks. Or let me say absent, not late. Absent. So don't say that 1 or 2 days don't make a difference. It makes a world of difference when there is an appointed time for your presence. Okay. Questions on this? All right. And we're going to pause right here. So now we are.
I was gonna say,
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was gonna agree with Minister Ronnie because I think the season might be coming short because if you find a wolf in Aldi, something ain't right.
Oh,
But Aldi's,
the Aldi's grocery store.
he was hungry.
In Chicago,
This is
they found a
Chicago.
wolf.
What animal like that comes into the city?
If he can't find
A
the
huge
food,
city like that.
somebody has something to eat his food. And so I said, can I just run around our house? I'm like, why? Well, it's because we build this up. I said, no. There's too much open land. It doesn't make sense what you're saying to me. I mean, they babies was cutting up too. It wasn't no, they were screaming. They were hungry. So we went and started rats.
As fast as they multiply. And rabbits.
Not in that office.
That's why they buy your house. They gonna eat your little dog.
I don't have a little dog. You got a little dog.
Okay,
No. My mama got a little dog. I don't have no dog. She got a little dog.
let's move on to the lesson, please. Let's move on to the lessons. So this one is Daniel's prophecy, changing times and laws. Daniel's prophecy, changing times and laws. We're going to need a reader for this one. Sister Billy, I haven't heard your voice. Can you read Daniel's chapter 7 for us?
I can.
Mhm.
Okay. Daniel 7:24 to 26. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first. And he shall subdue 3 kings, and he shall speak great words against El Elyon, and shall wear out the Kodesim of El Elyon, and to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a period of time, and times and a dividing of time. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion, to consume and to destroy and to the end.
It says they shall be given into his hand a time, and the dividing of times. How long is that?
One time. I mean, what time?
Well, you got one time, plural of times, then you have
It's dividing of time. So was that one time to one divided by one?
I know the answer, but I know it because you taught it.
Right.
Yes.
It's 3.5 again.
It's
Right.
3.5 again. Yeah, go ahead and answer, please. Go ahead. Question?
No, Lily just said the time.
I'm sorry?
No, Lily just said 3.5 years.
Oh, 3.5 years is correct. 3.5 is what we've been talking about. It's the 1,260 days. 3.5
again.
years. Back to that again, right?
So these days are this 1,260, as I said, keeps coming up for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to mark a point in history.
Mm-hmm. So let's look at this word change. It says that he shall think to change times and laws. The word change here is to exchange. Do you see that? He shall think to exchange times and laws. So that means removing the original and replacing the false. See where it says to exchange one thing for another? To do something a second time. My favorite one at the bottom, to alter or to pervert it. So if you insert these words, he shall think to pervert times, pervert or alter times and laws. Do you see that? This is a prophecy given to Daniel, the prophet Daniel. Okay, let's move on and see if we can learn some more. So now what we're looking at is the word times. We saw the word change means to exchange or to alter. Alter what? It says times, but here it means something that's appointed, something that is fixed. What is the something that is appointed? What is some?
Yeah, the appointed.
What is?
Seasons.
The
Yeah, the appointed time.
the feast days,
The
the
Shabbat
seasons, and the Shabbats. Yes.
and the Sabbath rest, every 7 years, and
Excellent.
Jubilee.
So he shall think to exchange or to alter those times, right? Let's go a little deeper. Let's look at the word laws so we can put this picture together. The word laws means a decree of the king. So the word we are looking at is laws, not law, not a singular thing, but a plural thing. It says he shall change times and laws, right?
And when you change the times, you change the celestial laws automatically. Because you're not following the celestial temple.
Yes, you're changing. Well, the celestial laws can only be changed by Yahuwah, but
Well, you're changing what you study and
yes,
how you use your calendar. You're no longer following the celestial law, which
true,
means that you're changing Yah's laws.
true.
Because now, instead of you landing on the
Oh, bless you.
instead of you landing on the prophetic day that you're supposed to land on,
Hmm.
you're landing on Romans prophetic day. Then means that the laws have changed because you're no longer on the seasons that God put us on.
That is true.
So you change the times, you change the laws.
That is true.
It's like if you change the time you go to work. If you change it, your employer doesn't change it. You just change the law. You don't have the authority to do so, and you're in violation.
Hmm.
So Rome is in violation of Torah for changing the times and the
So
seasons and the laws.
if you're late for work, did you really change the time?
You change your time, but
You
not
changed.
not the time of the organization. No, you did not.
No, you did not. All you did was messed up your own
You
schedule.
messed up your own schedule.
And this is what happens if any of us decide to use the Roman calendar to determine our holy days. It messes up our own schedule.
Because our schedule's not changing.
Because his schedule is not changing. His schedule is not changing. He's not changing it. And he's not changing it because he told you it's a fixed, appointed time. Fixed, appointed time. Okay? Any questions on that? Okay. So let's look at the ancient Hebrew definition of the word law. He wants to change times and law. Look at the definition for the word law. The pictograph dalet is a picture of a door meaning enter or entrance, and the tav, not the word cross, tav, T-A-V, is a mark. Combine these pictures mean entering with a mark. When two parties agree to follow the laws of a covenant, a mark is given as a sign of continued allegiance, which is what you talk about, how Shabbat needs to be something that we do every week and not a one-time occasion. We need to meet every Shabbat. So this is showing you that this law that's going to be changed is dealing with a covenant. Right. So he wants to change or alter the laws dealing with the covenant, dealing with appointed times, dealing with feasts, dealing with Sabbaths. Gotcha. And has it changed? Yahweh? Has man changed it for themselves? Yes. Has Yasharel as a community, as a people, have they changed it for themselves? Yes. Yes, they have. Just as Daniel prophesied would happen has happened. Yes, ma'am. We have followed the Babylonian way of doing things. I'm very comfortable at it, yes. Okay. So we're looking at the Hebrew word for law. It begins with with dalet. Okay, it begins with dalet. So dalet means door. So my question to you is, who is the door? Yahusha. Exactly. Now we're looking at the tav, T-A-V, which is considered the mark. If sin is defined as to miss the mark, that's what sin is, or to transgress the law, what does it mean to hit the mark? To not transgress the law. It does. It means to, or another way of saying it would be to obey the law. The very law that we're told in Christianity that we don't have to keep. Then how are you going to get a mark if you're not keeping it? I don't know. I don't know. You know, the whole world grades us. You get graded in kindergarten. You get graded all the way up through medical school. The highest degree you can get, PhD. You get graded by the state. You take the driver's test, don't you? They don't yes, you do. They don't just say, oh, you read the book, here's your license. True. They don't do that. It's true. Even the state tests you. Right. But even the state tests you. But Yah has no test. He has no laws. He has no barriers. So they say. He is the lawless one. Which is why they're lawless. Exactly. So what God are they really following? Because there's only one God that we know of that is lawless. And that is Hasatan. Exactly. He is the lawless one.
One word of church is doing my will.
Yes, obey your thirst, right?
Man. So how do you think? Sight.
Obey your thirst. So they will think to change times and laws. The word change means to exchange or to pervert the times and pervert how you enter in with a mark law, right? Right there where it says it, entering with the mark. You see it highlighted. And the fact God says you meet me at the door with the mark, or you don't get into the door. You won't find it. Did they not find it? They could not find it in Sodom and Gomorrah, remember? That is correct. They couldn't find the door in Sodom and Gomorrah. Yes, when they were looking to physically abuse the angels of the Most High. Yes. The door. They could not. Correct. You have to go back and read that scripture. It tells you that they couldn't find the door. Okay. Any questions on this? So we're looking at the Paleo Hebrew of the word time. Remember, he said he wants to change times and laws. So this Paleo word for time means season, appointed, to set aside a time for a special occasion. A time set aside for a special occasion. What time is set aside for a special occasion? Our holy days and our Sabbaths. So this kingdom wants to change those things, or should I say, pervert those things. There's a difference in exchanging it and totally eradicating it. So this kingdom with the horns, right? At the very top in verse 24, and the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings, right? This system is looking to pervert, to alter the times and laws. So it says, you know what? We know that you've been told that in your fourth commandment that you should meet every seventh day. But our system, our laws says that you should meet on the first day. So there's nothing wrong with doing it a day later.
Except for the angels of presence and the angels of sanctification and the golden stream is not there. And Yahushua himself is not there on that day. So that's the only problem.
True.
And you have to work for that day. That's the only problem. This means you not work for salvation. That's the only problem. And then you do not into eternity. Now that's just a small problem for changing one day.
For changing one day. And not do you realize that's sin? It's a sin because it's transgression of the law. And it's violation of your covenant as well.
And if you don't correct that while you are walking with health in your body, there's no way to correct it.
Any questions on this or comments?
You surely won't die without the death. You won't die.
Okay, so he wants to change times. He wants to change the time that is set. He wants to change the season that is set. Who said it? Yahuwah said it. Because remember, it says that it was a king's decree. It was a king's decree. These times are set by decree. But he wants, this kingdom wants to change it. So this comes from another word. It comes from another Strong's word, H2163. Okay? So let's see what H2163 is. He wants to change what is fixed. He wants to change what is fixed. What is static. That's the way I like to use it. He wants to change what does not change. He wants to move what should not be moved. He wants to alter what should not be altered. He wants to pervert what should not be touched. That's what this kingdom that Daniel is talking about wants to do. And notice it says, excuse me, and he shall speak great words against El Elyon. You see that? He shall speak great words against El Elyon. Okay, just trying to check the time. Okay. And shall wear out the Kodashim and think to change the times and laws. So this is pertaining to Yasharel, the holy ones, the saints of the Most High. He wants to change what belongs to them. He's not concerned about the rest of the world. He doesn't care what they're doing in Japan. He doesn't care about what's going on in China or up in Tibet somewhere. This is not written about them. This is about Yasharel. He wants to change the times that Yahshua observed. He wants to change the fixed appointed times and seasons that Yahshua does what she has been instructed to do by the Most High. Any questions on this? Comments? Okay, so we're going to stop here for the sake of time, and we'll pick this up again in part 5 in this topic, Let My People Go. Thank you all for joining us. Hope that you enjoyed the lesson. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, and give us a thumbs up so that we can move this through the algorithm. Shalom.